Welcome to Around the House Northwest, presented by PGE and Oregon Kind of Energy.
Welcome into another edition of Around the House Northwest here on Fox 12 Plus. I'm Eric G. Today we're talking all about ventilation. We'll chat with Ross Trethewey about energy efficiency in your home, and then check out some new products from Toto and show you how to fix that loose outlet. But first, we're going to fix that loud bath fan you have once and for all.
Now it's time for Perform Like a Pro.
All right, time to take out the old one. 1977 Builder Basic. And as loud as a jet engine. Now the first rule is make sure the power is off. Verify it. Don't trust the switch. This can be deceiving. Just click that breaker and be safe about it. Sometimes you gotta go a little Roman on these things. Sometimes they put too many nails in, or you can't even see where the fasteners are. Let's rip it out and try not to do any more damage. You know what the sign of progress is from 1970s to now? That's 50 years. Nothing ever fits the same hole. We have got to remove some drywall and make the new one fit. Directions number 1. Number 2, follow them. All this stuff has to come out of here because I don't have to hold it over my head as I fiddle with it trying to get it loaded up, and it protects the unit. So let's strip the insides out of this. Bend these tabs over. If I was doing new construction, that would work. Now, I'm going to verify to make sure my measurements are correct. Now here's the thing on Around the House. I'm never going to show you how to do the electrical, because if you're not comfortable with it, that's maybe where you should hire the pro. All right, the last little step here is to snap in this special light. This is the thing that sanitizes the room in here, and we just got to snap it right into the holder and plug it in. Make sure you put the plug on the side where that is so you can actually plug it in. The cord's not that long. All right, the fan is done. It's got some cleaning to do. It's just not gonna clean me. We all need a good night's sleep, but I bet you never thought about what goes into building a quality mattress. Mattress Warehouse makes them right here for you in your own backyard.
Now it's time for Made in the Northwest.
Did you know they make mattresses right here in Portland at Mattress Warehouse USA? Let's take a look. Who knew that we make mattresses right here in Portland? Thanks for having us down here, man. This is some cool stuff.
Well, thank you for having us today. My name is Greg with Mattress Warehouse USA here in Gladstone, Oregon, and today we're going to kind of give you a little demonstration on how our mattresses are built right here in our factory in back of our store. So today this is a build-up, start of a build-up of a 6009 model mattress. It's a pocketed coil mattress. It'll have pocket coil and foam underneath. These are the actual pocket coils that come in. They're shipped in from Texas Pocket Springs out of Alvarado, Texas. They come in a roll, and we lay these out. We add this border wire on the top and on the bottom, And then from there, we add these edge guards, metal edge guards that go all the way around the mattress to give a nice firm edge support on a mattress.
All right, so that's when you sit down on it or something, that keeps the whole side from just crushing down.
Exactly
That gives you that
right.
body there on the edge.
That's exactly right.
It also keeps your sheets on.
Yeah.
All right, so now what do we got going on here? I mean, obviously we got all the springs and the cool foundation part put together, right?
Yes. Okay, so the next step then, after we have put the border wire and the edge guards on to the pocket coils, we're going to add insulator pad on the top and the bottom of these coils. The insulator pad is a buffer between the coils and the foam so that the foam does not deteriorate over the longevity of the mattress. So it's kind of a safe barrier.
All right, so now we're getting pretty here now. We got the cool parts that you get to see. What do we have here with all this foam, man?
Okay, so over the insulator pad, we use our a firmer layer of foam, 1 inch firm foam, and it helps with the, so you don't feel the coils as much. And then we put a layer of soft, 1 inch soft foam.
Okay.
And then we've put on the quilting top. Okay,
Nice.
so this is your actual buildup of this 6009 model bed.
Cool. Like this is hotel durability,
It
right?
is hotel durability, absolutely.
What do we got going on here? I see we starting to make it even look better.
So right now we have this mattress is upside down, and it came from our build-up table, and we have it all right here. We have our bottom piece. We have the border. This is the border that holds the top and the bottom together. We're going to first run it through the tape edge machine and tape the bottom to the border, and then we're going to flip it over. We're going to run the tape edge machine and tape the top quilted top to the border. This will complete our process.
Well, I've always called this the mythical box spring, but it's not even a box spring, is it?
No, it isn't, Eric. In today's world, building a mattress, a thick mattress like this that we've just finished, and if we put it on a box spring, it would actually wear out faster than what we do today. We build foundations today, and they're basically out of wood. Here at Mattress Warehouse, we build 3 different style of foundations. We build a 2-inch, which is a low profile. We call it a bunkie board. We build a 5-inch thickness, and we build an 8-inch thickness.
Nice. So depending on the thickness of the mattress or the look that you're trying to get with that bed, you've got an answer for that. And those are great for that contemporary look where you got something low, but you need to still support it, right?
Exactly right. We can adjust the height of the box to whatever mattress we're providing and give you that exact height that you want on your bed frame.
No climbing up the top when it's too tall because you got the wrong size foundation.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yes.
All right, this is cool. I had no idea this is what it looked like underneath all that fabric.
Yes, Eric, it's amazing. We pride ourselves in building probably one of the best foundations here in the Northwest. One of the things that we do is we put in multiple runners in a queen. We have 20 runners in these things. These are the stringers that go across, so there's very little gap in between. The other thing we do is on queen and full, we put 2 long runners across so that the span isn't great. So it avoids boxes breaking down or warranty issues.
It's like building a house, right? You
It's
just
just
got to
like-
make sure you got the support.
It's just like building a house.
Do you guys order this stuff in, or is this made right here?
Now, we make all this stuff right here, Eric. The top comes in a roll. This fabric comes in a roll. We cut them to width and then sew all this stuff together.
Nice. So that gives you an adjustment if you needed to build something custom for a customer or a hotel chain or whatever. You guys have that ability because you make it right here.
Yes, and also the width of whether we're building the 2-inch bunkie board, the 5-inch mid height, or the actual 8-inch box spring, it would determine the height of the material.
All right, so you never run out. You just make more.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Devon, we're out here looking at these mattresses. They all look the same to me. I'm not a mattress expert. What do we got over here that kind of shows us what's going on with mattresses? Because what I like might be different than what you like, right?
Yeah, that's totally accurate. Hit the nail on the head. One of the things about mattresses is they are completely subjective. every single person, every body is different, right? So some people like a firm bed, some people like a soft bed, some people sleep on their stomachs, some people sleep on their sides. And here at Mattress Warehouse, we build the mattress here so we can help the customer find exactly what they need. So even though they all look the same, they feel dramatically different. Yeah, so we start off building those mattresses with those individually wrapped pocket coils that you saw. And then we have the border wire on the top and the bottom, as well as that X-shaped edge spring that flexes when you sit on the edge of the bed.
Absolutely.
And then so each one of these models, the next layer up from the support layer is the comfort layer. So you got the foams, the various foams and consistencies of different foams that we put on there. You know, kind of like the different ingredients a chef might use in a dish, right? To kind of spice it up, change the way it tastes. But just a little bit of dill makes the dish right, but a lot of dill makes it taste like pickles.
Absolutely.
So yeah. And so we got the firm beds over this way, and they can get softer as you go, so that way you can really kind of go from one to the other, kind of like an optometrist. Better, worse, better, worse. Yeah.
There we go. You know, it's amazing that this is right in the backyard. I didn't even know how a mattress was made. I've learned a lot today, man.
Yeah, and I didn't even know this place existed before I worked here. It's one of the best places I could have landed after the pandemic, to be honest.
And I can have it all made right here. If I want to come in and get a mattress and exactly how I want it, you guys can do that.
We can customize it exactly the way you want it. That's the whole point of why we build the mattresses right here at our showroom.
And that way everybody can buy local and get a good night's sleep.
Sleep well.
I was so impressed with these guys over there building mattresses at Mattress Warehouse USA. I went and got one the weekend after. It's something that's pretty impressive. Coming up next, you won't want to miss Ross Trethewey from This Old House.
You're watching Around the House Northwest, presented by PGE and Oregon Kind of Energy. Welcome back to Around the House Northwest, presented by PGE and Oregon Kind of Energy.
Each and every week, we answer your questions on air to help you get the most out of your house. We like to call it our neighborhood connection. This week, we're talking loose outlet.
Now, it's time for the Neighborhood Connection, sponsored by The Wall.
Hey Eric, I got a problem here with my outlet. It seems to be the outlet box is loose. Can you give me a hand with that?
That is a great question, and I think every single house in America has that same loose outlet, just like this one right here. This can be such a big problem, and you're worried about getting shocked, right? So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start by taking this cover off, but there's one thing you need to do first, and that's gonna be turn the power off. You need to verify, don't trust that this is off. So we'll put in a tester like this. All right, that's on. It's always fun with a loose outlet, and then we have it on. So you can hear it right there. It's telling us that we need to turn this off. So I'll turn the breaker off. Once we got the power disconnected, verify again, no power. So safe to work on it. So I'm gonna take this cover plate off. Now there's a couple things we can do with this. If it's just a little bit loose, there's these tabs up here. You can actually bend those back a little bit and tighten this up, and it might grab the drywall. In this case, not gonna happen. So we're gonna take this outlet out here and remove it completely. Don't worry about this little hammered out drywall stuff. It's already busted up because it was loose. And we'll fix that later. That's a simple drywall repair. So let's take this out right here. And I will take these long screws out. That way we can unhook this electrical so we can replace this box. And that's the secret of this, because you can't get into the box. Most of these are actually just nailed into the stud right next to it. You're not gonna fix it here without doing a ton of drywall work, and that's really unnecessary, because the secret's gonna be this remodel box. But first, we gotta get this stuff, because the wire always goes through the middle of the box. So we're gonna get this loose. Now, when in doubt, you can always hire an electrician to come out and do it, but this is a pretty easy DIY program here. So we're gonna take these loose. These are on here with the screws. I like them better than when they're the stab connectors in the back. Those are not my favorite. When in doubt, it's a great time to replace all these. So just cut them off at the back, throw that outlet away with the stab connectors, and loop them around the lugs on here. It'll be a much safer program altogether. So we're going to take this out of the way so we can get this box out of here. And we'll get back to replacing that. And this is actually pretty easy. This here is stuck back in here. So there's two ways to do this. One, we can get a saw in here and cut the nails off on either side and then pull this forward, or you can let it go back on the wall because it's really not going to hurt anything. So you can muscle this around in here and get this out of the way. I'm not going to sit here and show you how to cut a piece of metal. Everybody knows how to do that. But we're going to pull this out of here. And once that wire's out of the way, we can just let that go back into the wall. That's all good. The secret's this remodel box right here. These have these special tabs to go through here. They won't even get a hold of the stud because it's going to grab a hold of the drywall. So we're going to make an opening back here for the wire to go through. And then this all comes from the front here. So once we get this in, I always like to pull the wire through there so you have something to grab. And then we're just going to take our screwdriver, and these tabs will sit here and tighten right up. And this will lock it into this drywall right here. And then that way you won't have a loose outlet anymore, and you've got something for it to sit tight to. And make sure that you get the box level in here so it's straight and you don't have to worry about adjusting it. That way you have a better looking system. And now I've got that locked in. Don't go too tight because this will crumple the drywall and you'll have a bigger problem later. So now that we have this, let's put the outlet back together and get our tabs put back here. Switch over. I love these multi-tools because you can have multiple different pieces ready to go, so it's a lot faster than having about a dozen different screwdrivers. And then we're going to get this put back together and we're really good to go. This is the cool part. Once we get this in, and we're almost done. Always want to make sure these are tight. And then we're going to put this back in. Once we get this in here, we are good to go. Let me get this started. These new boxes, you always fight them a little bit, but there we go right there. So you really don't have to see me put this all the way back in the box because all we're going to do is finish this outlet, put the cover plate on, and you're done, and you have an outlet that's never going to move on you.
Now it's time for Open House, sponsored by Pyramid Heating and Cooling.
You might have seen him on This Old House or Ask This Old House, and I'm really happy to have here in the studio today, Ross Trethewey. Welcome to Around the House Northwest, my friend.
Eric, thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
Ah, man, thanks. And first off, you know, I got to address it. What was it like growing up in the best master class of home improvement of all time?
I mean, I was so lucky and fortunate, you know, to have 5 uncles that were some of the best in the, you know, in the construction business. You know, having my dad obviously be the plumbing and heating expert on This Old House, to Tom Silva, you know, his expertise on so many things, you know, carpentry and beyond. You know, Norm Abram, obviously the master carpenter. You know, measure twice, cut once. You know, Roger Cook on landscaping, irrigation, all things legend. Masonry. And then, you know, obviously Kevin O'Connor, the host, who plays kind of like the dumb guy on the show. But man, that guy is really smart, laser focused, really smart. I think he's got a photographic memory. But yeah, so just to have those guys, you know, and grow up around the guys and be on the show, you know, be a kid on the show, kind of watching in the background, you know, just learning so much stuff through osmosis and just being around it was, you know, just a privilege. So
yeah, it's great. And now you're off in your own world and on This Old House, which is cool. I wanted to ask you today, you know, there's so much confusion out there because the world of conditioning that air inside the house and treating it seems to be changing on a week by week basis. You know, and they're in the middle of changing all the heat pump technology over. There's so many things changing right now. I wanted to get your take on, basically heating and cooling your home and creating something healthy inside. What I like talking to you about is you're agnostic from all this. So this isn't a brand discussion, but what do you
Yep.
see out there with technology and where's that taking us?
Yeah, so I mean, you're right. Things are changing really fast. It's like every 3 to 6 months there's a new product coming out. And I think we're starting to experience, of course, you see it on the news, the electrification movement.
Sure.
And the reason that electrification movement is really happening is because it's synergistic to heat and cool your building with electricity and then supplement that energy with solar or wind, right? So that's where people are trying to get to these kind of net zero. The idea of having my roof generate the electricity that heats and cools my building is basically the kind of the concept where heat pumps really came from.
Sure.
And the technology used to be not there to be able to heat buildings with heat pumps, right? They didn't have the technology. They didn't have the time track record way back when, but now they do, right? And they work in cold climates. They work in hot climates. You hear the word inverter compressors, you hear vapor injection, you hear all these technical terms. And basically, these are just things that are technology improvements that allow the systems to grab heat when it's really cold outside and to also reject heat when it's really hot outside. So that's, heat pumps move heat from inside the building to outside in summer mode. And then in wintertime, they move heat from outside to inside. And I think a lot of people just misunderstand. They're like, well, it's -13 out. How can it get heat there? And it's like, people don't realize that there's actually a lot of heat at -13 Fahrenheit,
Yeah.
but for our bodies, it feels cold. But for a heat pump, -459 would be absolute zero, right? So like just
Yeah.
to put it in context, -459 is a lot colder than -13. So there's still heat in the air at -13, even though it doesn't feel that way at times. So
Yeah. And it's
um,
amazing. I mean, I put in my house here a couple of years ago a heat pump water heater. And that
yep,
saved me with my energy rates here in Portland. It saved me a couple $100 a year. And I went from gas, and I love gas, but I went from gas to electric. I went from a
yep,
40-gallon gas water heater to an 80-gallon heat pump. And it's saving
right,
me a couple $100 a year. And I never run out of water,
right.
but it's using 500 watts of energy to heat the water with.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. You compare a heat pump water heater to electric resistance tank type water heaters, or comparing it to a gas, water heater. The heat pumps are phenomenal. COP is close to 2. So that
Yeah.
means you put $1 worth of energy in, you get $2 worth of heat in terms of hot water out. So it's 200% efficient. So there's no boiler that I know of, or no gas heater I know of that can do that kind of efficiency. So, part of that is depending on what your utility costs are, right?
Sure.
So your electric rate versus your gas rate, what you pay for each of those. So that can be variable across the country.
Mhm.
But in most parts of the country, switching to an electric air source heat pump water heater is going to save most people money,
Yeah.
right? Unless you're paying 30 cents a kilowatt hour or some really high rate that
Yeah.
we do in some states.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're going to benefit from that. And the other thing that I just want to add on this point is that I'm a huge proponent of heat pumps. It is going to be a big part of our future.
Mhm.
But I don't know if our electrical grid infrastructure is ready for the electrification movement across the United States. So I
Agreed.
always like to give a little bit of a pause, at least for our clients, to say, look, we're for heat pumps. Let's do it. Every system should be a heat pump. But let's not forget that a gas solution, whether it's natural gas or propane, those solutions still have viability and feasibility in different parts of the country for different reasons, right? If the grid goes down and we need to run a gas generator or we need backup power, it's a lot easier to back up a gas boiler or a gas furnace that runs on 100 watts of electricity, or a couple hundred watts of electricity versus a 5,000 watt, compressor. So there are definitely advantages and disadvantages. And so I think in the interim period, what we tell most of our clients and what we recommend is a dual fuel hybrid system. What I mean by that
Cool.
is that you can heat the building with electricity using heat pumps, whether it's air to air, air to water, geothermal, whatever it is. And then you also have a gas component that will provide the backup heating if you ever need it, and also gives you that fast response and domestic hot water production if you need it, right? And
Yeah.
so there are advantages again to all systems, but that's one way that we can kind of bridge the gap to a fully electrified home until the grid catches up.
One other question for you, man. What would you tell people out there now these days? Because, air quality is such a big deal out there, right? I mean,
Hmm.
it's such a huge discussion after COVID and everything else out there. And there's a lot of
Yep.
great systems and there are a lot of not so great systems. What would you recommend to people out there, to our viewing audience, to keep that house as healthy as they can with indoor air quality?
Yeah, yeah. So, well, the first thing I always recommend to everybody is just, get a consumer grade IAQ monitor. You don't know what you don't measure. We have a bunch of these around the office. I have them in my house and stuff like that. There's a bunch of different brands out there, that measure VOCs, particulate matter, radon, um, temperature, relative humidity, pressure, carbon dioxide. So they measure these things, and if you don't measure it, you don't know. You can't use the nose test. You can't pick up radon with your nose, for example.
Yeah.
So you got to monitor it. So I always recommend everybody. Some of these monitors are $200, $300, $400. Just get one, put it in your house, and just set it up and let it data log and just see what comes back. You might be perfectly fine, but some houses that we monitor are not fine, and there's some issues there. So what can you do? It really depends on what we're solving for. What are the problems in that house? But normally, what we see is a lot of times we see lack of ventilation.
Mm-hmm.
So ventilation is what provides, basically what we call source exhaust. So we're exhausting for bathrooms that have high moisture loads and odor loads, and we're exhausting from the kitchen. And a lot of times kitchens have recirc hoods. They're not vented to the outside, or they're vented up to the attic space, or
It's my
whatnot.
pet peeve number one in the house is a recirculating hood. They're worthless.
Yeah, they're worthless. Exactly right. So you just literally took all the pollutants right off the cooking surface, and now you blew it into the air, and blew it into the cabinets and blew it everywhere in your house. So you're making things worse. So the whole idea is to capture those the exhaust gases off the gas cooktop and all the cooking fumes, smoke, grease, everything, and get it outside. So that would be kind of 101. Bathroom exhaust, get it outside. 102. And run them when you actually use them. So a lot of times we hear, oh, the kitchen exhaust fan's way too noisy, I never turn it on. So we gotta get systems that are quiet, right? And technology's progressed now with some of the bathroom fans are extremely quiet, and a lot of the kitchen exhaust systems are getting quieter too. So source exhaust is a very, very big part, and it's really kind of like the 101, 102 of ventilation for buildings. You can go a step further and add ERVs and HRVs, right? So ventilation machines, energy recovery ventilators that basically get stale air out of the building, get fresh air into the building. So that's, basically mechanical ventilation, but with targeted fresh air, getting it preheated and pre-cooled and delivering it where you want it. You can upgrade your filters. So I don't want everybody to go out and rip out all their old filters and replace them with, MERV 13 filters tomorrow, because you might not have a system that can operate under that restriction, right?
Amen.
So a lot of people don't realize this. When you take out a filter and you upgrade your filter to a higher MERV rating, which is MERV, minimum efficiency reporting value, if you do that, you're adding restriction to your duct system. So the blower typically has to work harder to move air across that filter. It absorbs more particles and contaminants, but it puts more strain on that motor. So if you don't have the properly sized duct system and air handler to do that, then we don't want people swapping out, because that would be bad. You would, potentially burn out a motor, or freeze up a coil, or do other things that you don't want to have happen to you. So filter's a big one.
Yep. Well, Ross, man, thanks for coming on today, brother. This has been great, and I want to bring you back on and talk some of this technology again soon. And thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule, because I know you're doing big houses and juggling a TV schedule as well.
Well, I appreciate you having me. Always excited to be
Coming
here.
up next, we're going to talk about the latest products from Toto for your bathroom.
Around the House Northwest is sponsored by The Wall, the Pacific Northwest premier contractor for all your landscape and hardscape needs since 1985. Pyramid Heating and Cooling, thrive in the great indoors. And Standard TV and Appliance, best service, best selection, best people. Around the House Northwest is sponsored by Chevy Colorado. From outdoor enthusiasts to do-it-yourself diehards, the all-new 2023 Colorado is the boldest, most capable Colorado ever. Official truck of Around the House Northwest.
Sometimes it's hard talking about what goes on in the bathroom, but it's one of the most important elements of your home. Let's talk about some of the latest in bathroom innovation.
Now it's time for Hot for Your House.
All right, we're down here at the International Building Show. I've got Bill Stang here from Toto, one of my favorite toilet companies.
Thank you so much. And I tell you what, Eric, I mean, we've got such a great offering today, and this booth is absolutely spectacular. You're going to really dig what you're going to see today.
Awesome. Let's go take a look around here. This is some cool stuff.
Yeah, so what you're seeing here is actually our NeoRest product. What's really interesting about the NeoRest product is it's the very pinnacle of our offering. It provides a full complement of all the attributes of our product every single feature that is part of Toto is in this product.
So this is the Rolls Royce of toilets.
This is it. This is the one. If you want to drive that car, it's here, and you can actually test drive it. Not today, but we can get you a test drive.
I don't want to get thrown out that early.
I know. We'll make sure you don't.
Perfect. Let's take a look, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, so here we've got two different offerings, right? We have our NX2, which actually has an electrolyzed water system, as well as this ultraviolet light. Now, what's really cool about this, and this is really funky, because what you'll see here is, in this bowl, notice how the water kind of looks like it's puddling up a little bit? That is because this is hydrophilic product.
Oh, wow.
The glaze is a special glaze. Not only is it hydrophilic, it's also photocatalytic. Wow. The photocatalytic characteristic allows us to shine the ultraviolet light on it once a day and helps break down debris on the bowl surface, making it a cleaner experience every time. We also spray into the bowl electrolyzed water, which is water that we create as the potable water comes into the toilet. We create electrolyzed water that then sprays into the bowl and helps knock down the debris and the material in the bowl. Isn't that covered?
This is a self-cleaning toilet.
This is. And you'll notice also you see a little bit of a mist right here, we have now added an additional feature where this product not only cleans the bowl, but sprays a mist that comes up and wets this surface, because sometimes it gets a little messy under there, right? So we mitigate that by actually being able to rinse it and put the water in that area.
I've never seen that.
Well, that's right. And that's what Toto continues to bring. It's a clever technology and a clever opportunity to bring not only technology, but science and physics into the process. Now, if you come down a little bit here, this is our ultraviolet light. So this is just a standard NeoRest. It's got all the same features, just doesn't have that ultraviolet light in it.
Rolls Royce, Bentley.
Bentley, right.
Got it.
And so a little bit longer here, we'll get into the Porsches.
Nice. Well, let's take a look, man. What's this tub over here, by the way?
Okay, so this is what we refer to as our zero dimension tub. Now, what's really clever about this, if you notice, it's got a unique shape on the inside.
Yeah.
What we've done is we've actually measured how astronauts, free floating in space, zero gravity, and with that zero gravity, we can understand what is the natural body position. So we look at the ergonomic characteristics of the body. If you were to free float in space, your body with all the tendons and muscles would be in that position. We made that position in this tub.
Get out of here.
No, it's really quite clever. But what's also important about it is we set the tub so that the center of gravity is in the center of the tub, where it's in the center of gravity for you. That allows anyone of short or tall stature to accommodate. Let me show you something else.
That makes sense.
This pillow
Oh my gosh.
down, allowing a water cascade here to constantly flush on. That water cascade constantly is flushing across your shoulders and into the pond.
So no more like stacking towels up, any of that other stuff.
Absolutely not. And what's nice about it, as you saw, easily moved up and down, and it looks as though it is floating inside the bowl. Isn't that cool?
That is incredible. Incredible, man. You guys never disappoint. Every year I show up in something different.
Well, you know, one of the things we look at it very carefully. We look at the mega trends in the world. And if we can understand what those mega trends are, what is driving the world? And today, what's driving the world is hygiene, cleanliness. I mean, whether it's COVID or MRSA or Clostridium difficile, doesn't matter what the challenge has been in our society. The time you go into the bathroom is not only a time of relaxation and respite, but it's a time also where you want to be in a clean, hygienic experience. And Toto brings that in all the products that we bring to market.
Nice. And if you guys haven't seen Toto before, by the way, these guys are the largest toilet manufacturer in the world.
That's right.
So if it's a name that you haven't heard, you just haven't seen it in the home center for a reason, and I'll leave it at that.
Exactly. We talk about washlet. It is a bidet seat that attaches to any toilet. Right? Now, we have models, and we've got them on the walls over here, and you can see some of them hanging just here. They will attach to any toilet. But we've also, because Toto is a bidet manufacturer and a porcelain manufacturer, we've now incorporated what we call Washlet Plus. This gives the opportunity to actually integrate that bidet directly into the toilet to give a very seamless look. So we saw the higher end stuff over there. We're going to give you now the everyday product that sits here and then goes into a hole in our porcelain that is uniquely designed to accommodate this bidet. By being able to put that on there, you can see it's lifted up so you can see the integration. That then goes down behind the skirt, so you'll see it, it's hidden.
So I have another brand at my house, and the bidet toilet seat on the toilet looks like a fat man in a little coat. It just doesn't look right. Design-wise, this is now sexy.
Absolutely, and you know it's really important because one of the things that we like about our bathrooms is cleanliness and hygiene and a good aesthetic. And when you walk into that house, you want to have an opportunity because I promise you, you put the bidet, this washlet, into your home, your guests, when they come over, they're going to say, can I go use your bathroom? Yes, you can. And you want them to come in and see that great look. So because we've got a great skirted bowl, because we've got the functionality of the Washlet Plus to be integrated directly into the bowl and hide all the hoses, oh my God, that is the perfect marriage. That evolution is something that many others cannot do because they don't produce and manufacture porcelain.
Well, so you don't have to spend $12,000 to get the $12,000 look.
No.
To have something that looks like it fits and is sexy and ready to go in the bathrooms.
Now, what's also interesting is you'll notice in this bowl that it actually has our tornado flush, right? And you're familiar with that, right?
Absolutely.
We've eliminated the box rim. The box rim, historically, for those in the toilet, there's all these little wee holes underneath, and they were oftentimes not glazed, and as a result of that, stuff would stick on them, right? Now you've got a clean, skirted design with a full tornado flush, and that gives a great rinse, and it washes everything out. And it's easy to clean when you have to clean it. And by the way, by using the electrolyzed water in the bidet seat, it helps keep the bowl clean and reduces the harshness of the chemistries you need to use to clean it and the frequency that you would need to clean it.
That's brilliant, because with the regular rim that you would see out there, the little holes where they're drilled, you'd get the clean marks where the holes were, but in between on the cheaper toilets, you would get that place where it wasn't so clean.
That's exactly right. And so what we want to make sure of, and this is really important as well, because it's also not just about the flush, it's about the effectiveness of the flush, especially in a water conservation environment that we're in today. Now, California has had a little bit too much water this past couple of months, but drought is an issue, and it is cyclical, and it comes and comes and comes and comes, and it gets worse and worse, and our need for water becomes more dire. What we have really done is utilize the water as effectively as possible as we rinse the bowl with the cyclone. No longer does it go, it doesn't travel this far anymore, it travels this far now to do the work with one drop of water. Every time we actually optimize the utilization of our water, we mitigate the consumption of water and improve the resource utilization here in the United States.
Bill, thanks for coming on today, man. This is great. I've got a lot to take a look around here, but thanks for taking the time. Love starting the show out this way. I really appreciate it. And of course, you guys bring everything again, like you do every year, and change the world of toilets, man.
Well, you know, it's always interesting. Toilet talk is my life, and it's been an interesting conversation, but to have actually fans of the product and of the brand is where we are really finding success. And what we really want to do is continue to create more fans for the Total product.
Coming up next, we're going to talk about those little code requirements for the next time you swap out that Beth fan.
You're watching Around the House Northwest, presented by PGE and Oregon Kind of Energy. Welcome back to Around the House Northwest, presented by PGE and Oregon Kind of Energy.
We talked a lot today about ventilation, but let's get into the nuts and bolts of the challenges we face here, specifically in the Pacific Northwest. Today we're talking bathroom ventilation with my friend David Salholm from Pyramid. Thanks for coming on today, brother.
Sure, pleasure.
You know, I'm putting in bath fans in my bathrooms because I just want to upgrade it because, well, first, I've got a steam shower in the one bathroom and then the traditional powder room in the other, and those are two different situations.
Yeah, very, very much different. The code deals with them differently, but code's written based on history and what makes a room safe and a good environment.
Yeah, so it's fun because you can grab these bath fans, and this is the latest of technology, but if you just follow the directions, we don't end up meeting building codes. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this today because there's some catch-22s and how we do this because if you just pull this out of the box and put it in and you've got an inspector showing up, it could be an issue here in Washington and Oregon.
It really could. Really, the mechanical code was developed for our residential, for Oregon and Washington as a prescriptive code. So it's based on good practices and getting the correct results. Some of the codes are written based on performance, in which case you have to do testing to prove that it works correctly.
Yeah.
Doesn't always.
Absolutely. Like, so, you know, at my 1970s house, you know, I've got one bath fan here, which I love because the new Brown one here that we're using up in that space is, I don't have all the wires coming up. You know, I've just got the light, the old bath fan that was, you know, the builder special that was in there, had a light and a fan on it, and it was probably, what, 30 CFM back in the day, if best?
If it even got that. I mean, often they were a 3-inch hard pipe vent, and if you really put a flow hood on it, 20, 30 CFM, does not comply with any code. Really, the only thing it did was say, we've got a fan here.
Yeah, and so if you think about CFM, I think you taught me this one, that's basically a basketball, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
when you're talking the minimum code for a bathroom with a shower or a tub is 80 CFM, 80 cubic feet of exhaust every minute. So 80 basketballs every minute should be leaving that room in order to get the effluents, get the gases, and most important, get the moisture to the outside.
yeah, because that's the leading cause of mold. That is your wettest room, is that bathroom, and so you have to deal with that. One of the tricks that I like about this, and reasons why I'm putting it in my house, is that the cool part is I don't have to run wires up there. What they do is you basically, as you hook this up, it makes it so the fan is hot all the time, and then it has a switch system that's Bluetooth, so it communicates. So it can turn on the music, the fan, the lights, whatever, and it's all based off of that switch, which kind of makes it nice because I don't have to go rewiring my house to deal with this.
Oh boy, that's huge when you don't have to open all of the walls and re-sheetrock and run the wire in order to get there. And again, we're talking, typically that's all line voltage.
Yeah.
So you've got to have an electrician, somebody qualified doing that work.
Yeah, which is a big deal. You know, when you're at the home improvement center or even your plumbing wholesaler out there and you're looking at the wall of fans, what do you recommend? What's important to you when looking at a fan? Because these are the latest ones, but it's definitely not all that's out there.
Boy, there is a big variety. So the first thing I look at is having the correct capacity. So if you're talking a powder room, toilet room, you don't need as big a fan as you do. And in fact, the code reflects that. It says you need only 50 CFM, 50 basketballs worth of exhaust every minute. When you're looking at a bathroom, you want at least 80. Frankly, I like to go a little larger than that because the reality is when they test the fans, they're testing it without any ductwork.
Got it.
All ductwork has resistance, which is going to reduce the airflow. So we've got 110 CFM fans here. When they're actually connected to ductwork, based on the size of the ductwork, how it travels, and the length, it's going to reduce that CFM, that airflow, to a lower level.
Got it.
So the minimum code of 80 CFM would often not give you anywhere close to 80 CFM once you hook up some ductwork to it. So I like to go a little larger. I like the fans with either a timer on it that's built in, so it's got a motion sensor and then a timer, or have a humidity sensor integrated into it, so it comes on automatically. You don't have somebody that forgets to trigger that timer on the wall, and you actually make it function. As far as the brand goes, Braun makes excellent product, Newtone makes excellent product, Panasonic makes excellent product. You just want to move a little bit up off the bottom.
Yeah. Well, and the nice thing with these too is you get quieter as you go up, right? And so, you know, the Builder Basic one is much louder than when you get up into these where you barely even hear the fan running.
That's true. However, Oregon has a minimum sound requirement. And that was done because people would not run the fan because it made too much noise. So we now have a sound requirement that have made all of the fans quieter. And in fact, there are some people that complain because of that. The fact is, some people want to cover the noise that happens in a restaurant.
Which is great. That's why that one has Bluetooth, so I can sync it up with my phone and listen to whatever music I want.
That's helpful.
And I think for my guests, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the login code right there. So if they want to listen to music while they're in there, they can listen to whatever they're wanting to.
Around the House Northwest is sponsored by I-5 Exteriors, family owned, and providing service from Salem to Tacoma for all your roofing needs. Kitchens and More Northwest, building your custom cabinet dreams into reality since 1989. And Gary Boyer, the Mortgage Monkey, client-focused, results-driven. Welcome back to Around the House Northwest, presented by PGE and Oregon Kind of Energy.
Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Around the House Northwest here on Fox 12 Plus. We got another great show lined up next week. We'll be exploring handmade boots with Wesco and talking with author Jamie Gold about aging in place. In the meantime, be sure to follow us on social media for any updates and interact with the show. We'll see you next Saturday at 10 a.m. right here on Fox 12 Plus for more Around the House Northwest.
Thank you for watching Around the House Northwest, presented by PGE and Oregon Kind of Energy.